Okay, can everybody hear me? Okay, welcome to Albany Community Centers at the Center. We're trying to count, this is about the 7th one we've done, and they're on the last Friday of every month. And we've all had all sorts of exciting things like presentations on ants, a folk bluegrass band, Berlin-style ping pong, and now mixology, which everyone I'm sure is very excited for. So, without further ado, please look for the next at the centers coming up in the next activity guide, which should be here in the community center and at your doorsteps in the next couple weeks. We have more ping pong, another mixology class, pachachka, which is a type of Japanese presentation, very exciting. So without further ado, let me present Jessica Maria from our local Hotsy Totsy. And once again, thank you so much for coming to the Albany Community Center.
Am I on? Okay, there we go. Hi, everybody. Hi. Thanks so much for coming out tonight. I hope this is fun. I just want to, preface all of this with this is the first time I've done it in this environment. I've been bartending for over 20 years, and I've trained lots of people, but I've done it on a one-on-one kind of basis. So doing a group of 20 all at once is going to be a bit much, but I think we can do it. It's going to be fun. It's also my first time ever doing a PowerPoint presentation at the same time. So just please forgive me if it feels a little wonky. This is the first time. So my name's Jessica Maria. I own the Hotsy Totsy Club right here in Albany. It's the oldest bar in Albany. I don't know if you guys know that. Founded in 1939. I've been bartending for over 20 years myself. Nearly 20 years myself. I don't want to age myself too much. Nearly 20 years. I've worked in almost every kind of bar, sports bar, college bar, fine dining bar, hotel, restaurant, that kind of thing. I've done lots of competitions over the years. Not that that means anything, it's just something that you do as a bartender. And then I opened the bar in Albany about 5 years ago with my partner. So that, I guess, makes me legit enough to do this for you guys. So that's me. So what is mixology? It's a term that's fairly new people are using it these days more than they used to. It is an old term from the 40s, I think, 1943-ish. Merriam-Webster says, mixology is the art or skill of preparing drinks. I consider myself a bartender. This is kind of the circle of life, I guess. These are the things you should look for in anybody that refers to themselves as a mixologist. You've got to pay your dues. You don't just get the job as a mixologist. So I did all of these positions myself. I was a server, and then I was a cocktail waitress. Usually a woman is a cocktail waitress, and a guy would be a bar back. And that's how you learn to be a bartender. Now, bartender isn't just someone who throws drinks together in a glass and puts them out. It is a difficult job. It's not for everybody. You need to be able to multitask. You have to remain calm and friendly and kind to everybody while you're doing these things. You have to be able to make transactions with cash or credit cards, and that makes a great bartender. And then you can become a mixologist. A mixologist is someone who takes time and is interested in the craft and building cocktails and researching recipes and trying new things. And I think it's actually a good term for the home bartender, honestly, because you're not bartending at home. You don't have 100 guests at your house and you're trying to mix drinks real quick. So you can call yourself a home mixologist if you want to. I think it's kind of it's suited for the home. Everybody understand what you got to do if you're a server or you're a bartender, right? Okay. So let's look at our tools. Everyone has their bar kit should be on your left side, I think. Or right or left, I guess it depends on where you're standing. So you have in front of you a Boston shaker, part mixing glass, part tin. This is what most bartenders globally use. This is the glass part of it is where you can mix your drinks, you stir, but it's also fits in here for shaking drinks as well. Just something to note, the glasses that you all have in your bar kits tonight, these are all tempered glass. It means they've been heat treated and they're stronger than your regular glass. So if something should happen to this and it breaks, you can't just go to, Crate and Barrel and buy one, because that will break in your hand. So you always want to ask the shopkeeper if this is tempered glass. Important to know, and it's usually some sign on the bottom of the glass. You'll see like a symbol that it might be a star, it might be an anchor, it might be 3 dots. In this case, it looks like a wave. So that's how you know your glass is heat treated. Excuse me. A funny little side note, if you don't mind. In the UK, the government actually commissioned, I've got a friend from the UK here, so she can attest to this, I think. The government actually commissioned something called the ultimate pint glass, because there were 87,000 violent attacks in pubs in the UK. I guess, I don't know, is it like hooligans going into a bar and they throw their pint on the ground and then like use it as a weapon? I thought that was kind of funny to have the government commission something safe for drinking in a public place. So on the other side of the screen is the cobbler shaker. That is something that bartenders don't use, but it's probably something you already own at home. It's the most common use sold bar kit or bar shaker. I think they're very unpractical. They're very hard to take apart once you shake. And you'll see a little bit later when we actually shake something in here, we're going to create a pretty strong vacuum seal. And to get that apart, you need an angle. And the cobbler shaker just fits on there kind of straight up and down. It's almost impossible to get it off. It takes waiting several minutes, and at that point, your drink's watered down and kind of warm. So what's the point? So just avoid cobbler shakers. They are cute and pretty. Put them on your bar. But beyond that, there's not a practical use for them. We also have our Hawthorne strainer, which is this guy, and our jigger. Pretty straightforward. I need a jigger. This is what you're going to use to kind of strain the excess ice. If we were shaking, fruit or anything like that, this is going to keep it out of your drinking glass. And then we have our bar spoon and our muddler. A bar spoon, multi-purpose tool. We stir drinks with it. We also use it to take our garnishes out of our garnish tray. And it's also a measure. We use this a lot in making cocktails. There'll be a recipe that calls for a bar spoon of absinthe or a bar spoon of simple syrup. So this is the equivalent of about a teaspoon or 1/8 of an ounce, something that we use all the time. The muddler, pretty self-explanatory. We use it to mash stuff. We muddle fruit with it. We muddle sugar for like an old-fashioned, and that's about it. Mint for a mojito. So let's talk about the drink that we're going to make and consume real soon. I wanted to do something pretty simple and accessible, so stuff that you'll most likely have at home and can make on the fly. You don't have to do a lot of shopping. You can already use the ingredients that you already have. So a highball is a classic cocktail. It's 2 ingredients. It's spirit and soda. Any spirit plus any soda. Though it's typically ginger ale, 7-Up, or soda. So a whiskey highball would just be whiskey in a highball glass or a Collins glass. That's this guy. You build that over ice in your Collins glass, and you serve it with, a garnish of lemon or lime. Doesn't matter. Building, just so you know, building a cocktail is when you just take the ingredients and you pour them over the ice in the glass that you intend to serve it in. A mule or a buck, they are synonymous. Essentially, it's a highball with the addition of citrus. And then in the 1940s, we made it with ginger beer. So instead of it being ginger ale or soda, it's ginger beer. You can use ginger ale at home if ginger beer is a little too strong. But a buck is essentially a highball with the addition of citrus juice. It can be lemon or it could be lime. Doesn't matter. They both work very well in this cocktail. So before we make the drink, how about everybody kind of put their Boston shaker together. You want to hold it, like you see, you want your glass to enter at a slight angle, okay? You should be able to hold the glass without it falling. You should be able to hold this side without it falling as well. That's how you know you have a good seal. That's why we're doing this without liquid first, till you get it. All right, so either way, you've got it. And then, to break that seal, you're looking for that spot right where the glass and the tin start to come apart. You just want to tap it lightly. It's going to come right out. It's not how hard you bang it, it's where you bang it. Thank you, Rich. There is a sex joke in there somewhere, but so just at the angle, keep trying it until you get it. So this is easy right now because we haven't recreated that vacuum seal that comes from shaking. Does everybody feel like they've kind of got it? Okay. So when you shake, you're always going to have your glass on top, just so you know, because the seal is happening at the tin end. And if there's any liquid or anything that kind of gets pushed out when you shake, you want to get it behind you and not your guests in front of you. So when you shake, the liquid goes backwards and not that way. Then the other thing I wanted you guys to try, and you'll kind of have to take turns. Everybody's got like 2 bottles they can work with. Just holding the neck of your bottle for when you pour. A lot of novice bartenders tend to grab down here and pour. And you see how much movement I have to make to do that? When we put a pour spout on here, we need an accurate, quick pour. And so if you hold it at the neck, the movement goes from this to that. It's simple, easy, just flip of the wrist. So yeah, practice with maybe something that has a lid on it first. Just grab one of the bottles and just flip it over, okay? Yeah. And you're looking for an upside down bottle. We're trying to get as much motion. The fluid needs to be pushed out of the bottle. So if you do it like this, you're not getting an accurate count when you pour. You know, I know that as a bartender, I count to 8 every time I pour. If I start right here, I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I come back, I'm done. If I do this, it's just kind of dribbling out and spurting, and it doesn't make any sense. So you want to flip that bottle upside down. And we're going to put pour spouts in here, and you guys are going to do that. So get ready. So the drink that we're going to make I just called it a minty rum mule. Again, it's a variation on a Collins and on a mule or a buck. And just, if you don't like ginger beer, if that's not your favorite, or ginger ale, something that's easy to do at home is make a simple syrup. A simple syrup's equal parts sugar and water. Yes, please, ice. So you can make simple syrup at home on your stovetop in a matter of moments. It'll last in your refrigerator for a month. But you can also add to that syrup different herbs from your garden. You can make a mint syrup. You can make a basil syrup, lemon verbena. You can get creative. You can add strawberries to it, and then you've got this wonderful syrup that's going to last. It has a nice shelf life refrigerated. You can have friends over and just suddenly turn a vodka soda into a lemon basil extravaganza. You'll come up with the names. So that's why I chose this, because you can. There's lots of variations from here. So everybody grab your Collins glass, and you should have somewhere near you a glass of mint. I just picked this from my garden today. I also threw some lemon verbena in there, so you can choose if you want mint or the lemon verbena to muddle in here. You're just going to want to take, 6 leaves, a small handful. And everybody just kind of drop that in your glass. I took the lemon verbena, and because it is so aromatic and pungent, I'm just using 3 leaves. Just the leaves, yeah. Take it off the stem. Toss it into your Collins glass. Yeah, has everybody got enough mint? Are they finding it? Or if you want lemon verbena, whatever or you can mix both.
You should put the same amount, like 6 or 5 or
It's kind of personal preference. If you like something really minty or really, if you smell the lemon verbena, it's really, really pungent. So I'm thinking less is more in this case. The mint, if you're going to put it in there, add a little bit more mint just to compensate. So before anybody starts muddling, I just want to talk real quickly about what happens to mint if you pulverize it. Mint and all like green herbs have chlorophyll in their veins. If you mash that and pulverize it or shake it, it releases a really, really bitter kind of grassy taste. And it just doesn't taste good. It makes the mint almost taste like it was old or bad instead of fresh. In fact, lots of bartenders, they don't even muddle mint. They'll just take it in their hand and slap it, and that releases the oils enough. And that's all we want to do. We just want to release those oils from the mint. So with your jigger, actually, let's do a bar spoon of simple syrup. And again, you guys will have to share. Let's do 2 bar spoons of simple syrup, and just pour that right over your mint or your whatever herbs you decided, so that it's in the bottom of your glass. 2 bar spoons, yeah. And once you get your syrup in there, you're just going to really lightly press. You're going to be like, you hear that? Here, like, it's just a light tap of the mint. You're just lightly smacking your toddler. Anybody? No? It's not going to cause a bruise. They can't call, the authorities on you. So, yeah, you can smack it if you want to smack it instead of muddling. Absolutely do that. Thanks, Rich. I don't have, okay. Let's see, if you guys have mint left over, if you wanted to just do a little test, take like 1 leaf if you want, and just kill it in your fingers, and then smell it. And you'll smell that kind of, it is kind of rancid. It just turns to grass and gross. And that, we don't want to drink that. We don't want to consume that. Next time you're around mint, you can just be the weird person in the supermarket, beating it to crap. So everybody's got their simple syrup and they've muddled? Okay. So we talked about muddling. There's a picture of muddling. That's what you just did. So Rich is going to go around and give everybody some fancy ice cubes that I brought from the Hotsy Totsy. He's going to put them in your Collins glass for you. What we're going to do is we're going to grab the glass part of our Boston shaker, and we're going to grab our jigger. Imagine that I have one. Let me see if I've got one down here. Okay, there we go. do have a jigger. Okay, so everybody has a jigger. If anyone, would someone at each group just donate their pour spout for right now, and you can take it back at the end of the class, and put it into your rum, the rum bourbon quart bottle. So just take the cap off, put your pour spout in. So we put this aside. So what we're going to do here, and it's going to be kind of one at a time because everybody's sharing, groups of 4 sharing a bottle. So you're going to hold your jigger between your index and thumb, and the best place to hold it is kind of just rest it on the side of your glass. It helps you keep it steady, and if you're nervous, it gives you something to rest it upon. We're going to flip that bottle upside down. We're going to fill the jigger all the way to the top, and in fact, we're looking for something that's called meniscus. Meniscus is caused by surface tension. It's going to give you a convex little bubble over the top. We're holding it next to the glass so that we're pouring so fast, we're not going to stop and make sure we get that meniscus. We're just going to dump it in here. So any of that overflow or excess is just going to go into the glass and not all over the place. So let's grab our rum and our 2 ounce, so the larger side of your jigger, the 2 ounce side, and just pour it right in there. 1 2 ounce pour, correct. So you've got a jigger that's 2 ounces on one side and 1 ounce on the other side. Good? Yeah. Yeah. Good, very good. No, you're keeping your mint or your the stuff that you muddled should be in your Collins glass, and we're mixing now in this glass. That's okay. So just you pre-mix. So, we'll just fish it out and put it over here because the important thing is that we don't want to shake the mint or the lemon in over. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, you're okay. That's okay. So just pull your if you mixed it up and you muddled your fruit in the Boston shaker, just pull your herbs out and put them in your other glass. The important part is that we don't want to shake them. Everybody is looking good? Looking good? Looking good? Good job. All right. So like I said, Rich is coming around now, and he's giving everybody some ice. I'll explain ice in depth a little bit later. I can really nerd out, and I could spend 2 hours talking about ice, honestly. I probably owe you money on that class. So the purpose of shaking a drink as opposed to stirring is that we want to wake it up. We're trying to aerate the cocktail, bring the ingredients together. So we're going to only shake cocktails that have citrus, egg, or some kind of protein, dairy, in them. So we're going to now take our jigger and flip it over, use the small side, and in the glass part of your Boston shaker, this piece here, 1 ounce of lemon juice. Same technique, you're looking for that meniscus to come over the top. I don't know if I can. Into the glass part of your Boston shaker. So the same place you put the rum. Yep, you're going to mix your rum and your lemon together in a glass. So it should look like this. Everybody should have that. There's no herbs in there. It's just rum and lemon juice. Has everybody got it? I need a group yes, or I can't go on. Okay, very good. There we go. I need to get some drinks in you guys. All right. So everybody, again, you're sharing ice. Grab a scoop of ice and pour it directly into your the glass part of your Boston shaker. You want to fill it right up so it looks like that. So it should look like this. Very good. Ready over here? Everybody ready? I can't hear you. No, just kidding. All right, there we go. All right. So let's just take this and pour all of the ingredients into the tin side. And then put our glass in there at an angle. All right, let's just do it like 1 inch over the table. Make sure you've got it. You got that seal? Got it at an angle? Everybody good? Let me see you hold it from the glass part. Okay, good. Everybody? Good, okay. So, 2 hands, okay? 1 on the glass, 1 on the tin. Shake it. Wake it up, come on. Harder, 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 harder. Good, good. Let me see your shaker face. Come on! There you go, all right. Let me see it. There you go, good job, all right. Very good. Shake it for about 30 seconds. Now find that spot again between where the glass and the tin come apart. Give it a tap, should come right out. So you're tapping the tin, guys. You're tapping the tin, not the glass. Okay? There you go. Perfect. Yeah. Everybody got it out? No problem. Oh, we got 1. 2? Okay, so no, when it gets stuck, and this is a very common problem, this happens all the time, you just need to remember this is the spot you're looking for, right there, okay? It's going to come out. You do it. So it'll be easier, too, if you hold it up in your hand, and so this is right there where you want to hit, with the heel of your hand. Okay. So just a light tap right there should do it. Oh. There you go, good. Anybody else having trouble? Cool. Rich, I didn't get any ice. Me too. Okay, so let's grab your Hawthorne strainer, which is this one. Put it over your tin and pour it over the nice ice that Rich just gave you. Should have about an inch from the top of your glass, hopefully. If you don't, you over poured. You don't get the job. I'm just kidding. To open these ginger beer bottles, if nobody's done it before, they're a little tricky. You want to pull the tab straight out and then up. And we're just going to top this all the way to the top with ginger beer. And then grab your bar spoon and let's pull that mint or that lemon verbena up so it's not sitting at the bottom of the glass and it looks pretty. We'll put a straw in there. It should look something like that. And enjoy. That's good. How is it? Really good. Good? Easy to drink? Here we are, so that's what we do. Everybody has a little dump bucket next to them. You can just dump out your excess ice into that dump bucket. And cheers, yeah, everybody, cheers. Did you guys not get a dump bucket over there? Okay. Okay. Is there anybody that is here just watching that's not getting a drink? 2 of you? Oh, okay. Well, I was going to offer this to someone that doesn't have a drink. How about the nice English lady in the corner? Yeah. Okay. So again, at home, this is really easy to do. You can change out any of the base spirits. You can use whiskey instead of rum. You could use vodka. You could use pisco. You could use tequila. You could use gin. It's a great drink, no matter what you mix it with. It even works with scotch, honestly. So it's a Scotch mule. So I just kind of highlighted briefly a couple of variations that you could do if you have these, an ingredient or two in your home bar. If you have ginger ale, ginger beer, or soda, you can make a dark and stormy. Dark rum plus ginger beer is a dark and stormy. You add citrus to that dark and stormy, you've got a buck or a mule. Vodka or gin or whiskey or any spirit plus 7-Up and soda is a vodka Presbyterian. We made kind of a variation on a Barbados buck today. We added mint to it and made it original. A Moscow Mule is vodka plus citrus plus ginger beer. So we essentially did a variation of that as well. Gin Fizz, very popular drink, gin, lime, soda, and sugar. So these are all things that are very easy to make at home with some ingredients that you can keep in your home bar that aren't going to go bad. They don't have a shelf life. You can just collect them and let them collect dust, if they may. Yeah. I've got a little printout after. Something like this. If you want, you can just email me directly, and then I can send you like the actual recipes. I've got on the printout that I have as the recipes of the drinks we're making today. So everybody has a drink. Actually, before we move on, let's just put ice in our glass side of our mixing glass and set it aside for now. Set that aside. We'll get to that in a minute. Since everybody has a drink in hand, I thought I could now bore you with a little bit about the history of the cocktail. Wait till everybody's done scooping. So, did you know that the cocktail is an American invention? Yeah, America. It's ours. We invented it. We own it. So you throw that in anybody's face next time you're at a sports match and that comes up. I could spend a really long time talking about distilled spirits and how they came to be, where they came to be. But it is a very long and sordid past. Distilled spirits was a profitable trade, a commodity for trade, and so it involves centuries of slavery, just bloodshed and exploitation of native cultures, mostly by the English and the Spaniards. But we could talk a long time about that. I could ice and history. I could spend 2 hours talking about. But I just wanted to point this book out if you are interested in the history of the cocktail. This is a great book called Imbibe by David Wondrich. He's an absolute trusted source when it comes to history and spirits and cocktails. He's dispelled a lot of myths just in the last 10 years, things that we thought were absolutely true about where the Manhattan came from, where the martini came from. He's actually said, no, this can't be true for various reasons. So if you're interested in that kind of thing, it's on the handout I'll give to you at the end of the class too, so you can read it. So let's jump forward to the fascinating colonial era from 1600 to 1775 in America, where we've got immigrants coming from all over Europe predominantly, coming to the United States, settling in saloons and taverns at the time, a saloon was also a place that rented rooms. They're getting off their boats, very little money. Pretty much all they have in hand is a few bottles of spirit from their homeland. And they settle in, they go down to the saloon with their bottle, and you've got, Hans from Germany and Seamus from Ireland, and they're all sitting there and they're drinking their whiskey and their scotch and their gin. And what happens is there's a little, a couple of drinks. I'll try mine, or you try mine, I'll try yours. And they have that, whoops, you got peanut butter on my chocolate moment. Anybody know what that is? Right? How Reese's was invented. Two people walking down the street and somebody got peanut butter on their chocolate. Well, that kind of happened in the cocktails scene. Somebody poured their gin into somebody's glass that had vermouth in it, and the cocktail was kind of created right there. These bottles get left behind with the bartenders because these people are travelers. They're not staying in one place. They're moving on. So the bartender's got all these bottles left over because, they don't want to be traveling with them. So it's an opportunity now for bartenders in saloons and, the late 1700s to get creative and try things. A bartender in America had never seen vermouth before, didn't know what, well, they knew what gin was, but, Irish whiskey. So it's a great opportunity for these tavern keepers to kind of just start playing around, and they've got a couple of decades of just mixing and playing and putting things together and creating cocktails. But it wasn't until the invention of one very important thing, the thing that makes the cocktail truly American and makes it ours. How else could we call, English gin mixed with, Italian or French vermouth, most likely mixed together by a Irish or German immigrant and claimed to be the innovator? Anybody know? Ice. We invented ice, and we put ice in our cocktails, and everybody kind of hated us for it because Americans are barbarians, and we created the very first cocktail, which was the mint julep. The mint julep was the first American cocktail, and it went global. People loved this. They couldn't get enough of it. People were raving they needed ice. How do you get ice? It's a, American thing. So ice starts getting shipped out. People are putting ice in their cocktails. So that is truly what makes the cocktail American. And you can ask any English person. They tend to drink their rum and cokes without ice, and it's so weird. I'll never understand it. So people always ask me where the term cocktail comes from. Again, with so many things in cocktail history, it's always disputed. There's drinks involved, of course, so everybody had that great idea, but probably they overheard that great idea and claimed it. So I don't know where it comes from. Nobody actually really does. There's lots of, David Wondrich, in fact, has a great theory in his book. But the one thing that isn't disputed is that it is a drink that consists of at least one spirit, bitters or sugar, and some kind of sweet or sour component. So if you have those things in a glass, you have a cocktail. But it's ice. Let's talk about ice. So everybody got these fancy ice cubes in their glass. I brought those out from the Hotsy Totsy. It's kind of a designer ice machine. That is actually a picture that I took. I actually waited for ice to freeze the day I got this ice machine and took a picture of it. I was so happy. But that is the ice machine at the Hotsy Totsy. It's 1 square by 1 inch by 1 inch square. And what makes it so nice is that it has less surface area in your glass. You have 4 cubes in your glass. That's a combined total of 4 cubes and less surface area, as opposed to this glass right here, which you can already see that ice is already melting even though there's no spirits in there. But ice is what makes cocktails so important. It's the most important ingredient in any cocktail. Without it, you can't make the drink cold, and you also aren't creating dilution, which is very important in your martinis and your Manhattans, etc. If you just pour, I mean, if you wanted, you could just pour your whiskey and your vermouth into a glass and drink it, but you don't. You also typically don't pour it in a glass just with ice and start drinking it. You usually stir it because it needs to dilute a little bit. You need that water to come to enter into the cocktail and incorporate into the cocktail to make it easy to drink. It makes it smoother. We love our ice and we love our drinks cold, and I'm sure there's someone in here that keeps their vodka or Jaeger in the freezer. Anybody? Okay, yeah. And that's absolutely fine. I mean, you can keep your spirits there, but what's not going to happen is you're not going to get that dilution when you make your martini. No, you're putting cold or freezing, as cold as it will get, over ice, and it's just going to maintain its temperature. It can't get any colder than it is, so it's not going to make the ice melt. People think that ice is a bad thing in a cocktail, and sometimes they even ask for less ice in their drink, thinking that it'll make it stronger, and that's kind of a weird myth as well. If I'm only going to pour 2 ounces of spirit in your drink and then fill it the rest of the way up with mixer, whether it be, orange juice or soda, by putting less ice in that glass, I've just made more room for mixer. So that's something I always have to explain to people, like ice is your friend in a drink. You want it. We're not ripping you off by filling your glass up. We're actually helping you taste the drink the way it was intended, balanced. It shouldn't taste too strong, and it shouldn't taste too sweet. You shouldn't have too much orange juice in there or soda in there. It should taste balanced. You should taste a little bit of that whiskey and a little bit of that soda. Excuse me, thirst. How are your drinks? Everybody's got one, right? Okay. So real quickly, if you've got those plastic cubes in your refrigerator, throw them out, give them to your toddler. They don't do anything good for your drink. They never get cold enough. They actually impart kind of a poor, plasticky flavor into your cocktail. Just get rid of them. Kind of a new trend right now is whiskey stones. Again, I'm not a fan. If you want your whiskey cold, but you don't want water in it, well then put your fancy bottle of whiskey in the freezer, jackass. But yeah, this is just kind of a foolish thing. You put your ice cube in there. When it gets to the right temperature, you can pull the ice cube out. No harm, no foul, but rocks in a glass, I don't know, just not for me. So we're going to start kind of working towards our next drink we're going to make. But I wanted to just quickly go over when we stir, when we shake, and why. So we just shook a cocktail. We did that because it had juice in it. We wanted to aerate it. We wanted to wake it up. We did not put our ginger ale in there, or ginger beer in there. I should have mentioned that. If you try and shake a carbonated beverage, you can imagine what will happen, right? Explosion in your hands. It goes everywhere. So don't ever shake a carbonated beverage. The next thing that we're going to do is a stirred cocktail. And so how do you know when to shake and when to stir? You stir when you just have spirituous ingredients, like a martini or a Manhattan or a Negroni or a Boulevardier. The point of this is to get your drink cold in a fairly quick and efficient manner. I had you all put ice in here for a reason. We're going to put our bar spoon in here now and kind of practice a little bit. But we want the drink to get cold. We want to create a certain amount of friction in that glass. Friction creates heat. Heat creates dilution. So when we stir, we're stirring rapidly, but not so fast that we're making it dilute. So you don't ever want to stir your Manhattan. The goal is to get it cold rapidly, but not to create any air into the glass. And the term bruising, I just want to talk about that real quick. I'm not a huge fan of the term bruising. Essentially what happens when something is bruised is it's been over-diluted. So if you shook a gin martini, you probably added way too much water and air into that cocktail, and the botanicals that you get out of a gin are going to get lost when you do that. If you want to call that bruising, that's fine. I call it over-diluted and shaken to shit. But again, that being said, you could shake the heck out of a vodka martini and not bruise a thing, because there's no flavor in vodka. It's just going to water down a little bit, but you're not going to taste the difference if it as opposed to a gin. So you would shake a margarita, a Cosmo, a lemon drop. You would stir a martini, Manhattan. So let's just look at a difference real quick between a stirred Manhattan and a shaken Manhattan. The one on the left is, to me, what Manhattan's supposed to look like. It's supposed to be clear, crystal, just kind of a well-chilled drink. On the right, they shook it. It's been aerated. There's that foam on the top. You can see little ice chips in the glass. To me, that's not how a Manhattan was intended to be drunk. But again, your personal preference and taste will always prevail. Barbarians. Sorry. So, in your hand, you're going to hold your bar spoon much in the same way you'd hold a pencil, between your thumb and kind of index finger, like, I guess, however you'd hold a pencil, like in that picture. So you've got the shaft of the spoon in your hand. You're just going to put it all the way into the bottom of the glass until the bulb of the spoon hits the bottom. And really, you're just using your fingers. Keep your glass on the table. You can hold on to your glass. But eventually, the ice is just going to start moving around. You should really only be moving your wrist. Let's see. Good. Hold it a little more so that you're just kind of pushing off with your index or middle finger. You just want to hold it a little bit, get it down there, and then let your fingers do the work. Yeah. So a little less of this. You're not stirring a stew. You're just stirring a cocktail. So hold your hands down here a little bit and just bring it around. That's good. So the I guess bottom of the spoon, the round edge, should just be gliding around the glass real easily with very little effort on your part. So let me see. Just grab it here and just push it again. Use your pointer and middle finger just to bring it around and around and around. Same thing. Little less movement in your arm, but just right here. Pull, yeah. Push with your fingers. Keep your the whole shaft of your spoon kind of always on the side of the glass. It shouldn't be in the middle anywhere. So hold it a little bit, 3/4 of the way to the top, and just use your fingers to bring it around and around and around. Let the ice do the work. Good, you got it. Yeah, use your middle finger just to kind of push. Right, so get your spoon all the way to the bottom of the glass as well. So once it's at the bottom, the ice is just going to guide it around. And just try and keep your hand straight over the glass so that you're just making that motion. Very good, good. Yes, there is. We're trying to go quickly, again, but we're not trying to create too much air. So we're trying to create friction, but not air. You're doing good. So just hold it a little bit. Use your ring finger as a bit of a guide to kind of push it. So you're doing this.
Does it matter that there's not much water in here?
It shouldn't matter that there's not much water in here. So let's put the glass down on the table and get the spoon all the way to the bottom. Okay. You want to keep it aligned with the side of the glass, and then just start bringing it around. twist your finger. Yeah, there you go. Good, very good. Are you getting it? Just kind of twist your fingers. You can use your thumb in a lot of ways to kind of get it started. You know, if you were, I don't know, rolling your joints. If you're like doing that motion between, I don't know. I saw it on TV. It was in a movie I watched last night. So
This
just
thing should be rotating, right?
it should be rotating. Yes, in between your fingers. Yeah. How are we doing here? Pretty good, yeah. You can kind of feel that.
Do you rotate this?
I do. It's right in between my fingers. I'm kind of doing.
Yours is smooth, so it's
I
hard to
did.
see.
I have. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. But it's still. It's just kind of being. The ice is pushing the liquid around the glass. Yeah. And then you can twist up. How are we doing here?
I'm not sure how we do.
Pretty good. So you just kind of again want to get hold it like that in between your fingers. Bring that all the way down to the bottom, and then you're just kind of twisting the spoon in between your fingers until you get a nice glide. That's very good. You're doing it right. How's that feel for you? You're doing good. Okay, so
No, yeah, good.
yeah, you're doing good. No,
Doing this for like half an hour now.
all right. Well, you just want to try and keep the base of the spoon along the edge of the glass. So you're just kind of spinning, spinning, spinning. Okay, good. Everybody's doing great. It's a silly little thing that looks a lot easier than it actually is, isn't it? So the goal of stirring a drink is that you're trying to blend it. You're trying to blend it quickly, but you're not trying to incorporate air. So the faster you stir, the more rapid you're doing it. Again, you're creating friction, and friction creates heat. And heat is what we're using to dilute that ice, so that the drink's getting cold fast, it gets to temperature, the ice almost stops melting and stays cold. If you go slow, it gets watered down, and if you start doing this, then you're making a bubbly mess of your beautiful, beautiful Manhattan. So let's dump that ice out, everybody. Dumping it out? Yeah, me too. So we're going to do the same method with this next drink. We're going to do 2 ounces of our bourbon. We're going to use Buffalo Trace bourbon. Grab your jigger. Grab your bottle in your dominant hand. So if you're right-handed, your jigger should be in your left hand. Big side up. I've got a different size jigger. It looks funny. You're going to do 2 ounces of whiskey, in this case, Buffalo Trace, and pour that right into your pint glass. And then when you're done with that, you're going to do 1 ounce, so flip your jigger over, and you're going to do 1 ounce of sweet vermouth. I'm going to show this bottle real quick. I don't have one. Or do I? Okay. And then everybody should also have a bottle. It's a brand new bottle of Angostura bitters. So typically we would say 3 dashes of Angostura bitters, but when they're brand new, very little comes out. So 3 to 6 dashes. We're going to break that seal. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 dashes right into the glass. Here you go, over here. So the Manhattan is a cocktail that is obviously originated in Manhattan. Again, its history is disputed. The common story that was believed is that it was created at the Manhattan Club for Winston Churchill's mother. She was having a party, and that was the story that was told for years, centuries. And then David Wondrich actually discovered that the woman who this party was supposed to be thrown for was actually pregnant in England at the time. So not true. It was not for her. So we don't really know. Again, we just let these things be disputed and let people who really care about it figure it out. So let's grab a scoop of ice and add it to our glass and stir. Fill it all the way up. Make sure you get as much ice in there as you can fit, because we want it cold, quick. And stir. Everybody stirring? Oops. Good, good, good. We want to see the liquid inside the glass increase by about half. So we're getting there. You're getting there. Keep stirring. Add more ice if you need to. Looks like you need some ice in there. If you don't have enough ice, that's good. Yeah. Put some more ice. You're doing good. I'm going to put some more ice in yours. Again, remember, ice is your friend. Good. All right. Don't whistle. I have a microphone on. Good. Everybody doing good. Okay. Good. Everybody doing great. Perfect. All right. Let's get that second drink in you. Hawthorne strainer. Put it right on top of your glass. You just lightly need to press your finger on it. You don't have to push it towards the edge of the glass. Just put your finger on the top of it. It's going to do its job. Pour it right into your cocktail glass. And everybody also has some cherries. They're in a little dish or glass. They're not bright red maraschino cherries. Can you believe it? These are actually cherries that were hand-picked, pitted, and brandied by the staff of the Hotsy Totsy, myself included. We brandy our own cherries, so they're very, very tasty. You should eat them. What's that? Up to you. I tend to, when I'm bartending, I'll use tongs and just drop it in there, but we have toothpicks, so yeah, you can spear. Oh, you've got. She's garnishing her drink with toothpicks. It's a nice touch. I hadn't thought of that. Yeah, that's fine. And then I gave everybody extra cherries so that you could just eat them as well. Yeah, cool. Everybody's got cherry. Good. Okay. Cheers. Enjoy. Good. Awesome. I'm going to actually take a sip of this. Okay. How is it? Did any of you think that was way too much vermouth to be putting into a Manhattan? No? Vermouth? I'm going to get into vermouth in a minute. I don't want to jump ahead yet. So, again, here's a couple of variations. If you have, whiskey at home, these are some things that you can do. If you've got whiskey and bitters, the Angostura bitters, plus sugar and club soda, you can make an old-fashioned. Whiskey with dry vermouth and sweet vermouth, you can make a perfect Manhattan. Whiskey, mint, sugar, and a little bit of water, you've got a mint julep. And then with other modifiers, if you have in your home bar, like a bottle of gin, a bottle of Campari, whiskey, gin, sweet vermouth, you've got a great classic cocktail called a Boulevardier. One of my favorites, the Negroni, gin, Campari, and sweet vermouth. a very nice drink. And then for those times when you're not trying to get too drunk, and maybe this is what I drink just before I have to drive home, is Campari and sweet vermouth with soda because it's low in alcohol. I mean, it's still a bad idea. Don't drink and drive. Yeah. So now that everybody has a drink in their hand, let's talk history again. Just a little bit about pre-prohibition. So I talked a little bit about the taverns and the saloons at the time, and it being kind of this meeting spot for immigrants. Well, over time, these became the modern-day community center of every little city and town, kind of peppered along the East Coast and just starting to come inland. And the bartender of that time was a respected source of information. You'd go to him to find out what was going on in politics. He knew all the news and all the current events, and it was where people met when there wasn't an internet or a movie theater or the bowling alley. It was the bar room. And so early laws at the time had fixed pricing on taverns, which they didn't do in Europe. In Europe, the cafes and the coffee shops, they raised their prices, so it became a place for only the well-to-do and the rich. So it separated the rich and the poor. We didn't do that here. We had laws saying you can only charge a certain amount. So you've got the workers drinking alongside their bosses, which was at the time unheard of. We were starting, well, I'm getting ahead of myself. So what happened is there's two groups that came out of this that decided that the saloon is kind of a dangerous place. It's a bad mixing ground for mixing classes. So we've got two groups, the Women's Christian Temperance Union and the Anti-Saloon League. The Women's Christian Temperance Union was against booze altogether. They didn't think anybody should drink anything at any time. The Anti-Saloon League was against the saloon. The women were saying that, our husbands are drunk, they're being abusive, they're neglecting the children, and it's just morally wrong to drink. On the right, where we've got the Saloon League, they're saying, well, alcohol's not the problem. We don't like this mixing of classes. The Saloon League was KKK supported. A lot of people don't know that. So if we can control the saloon, we'll have fewer people agitated for labor, for change, campaigning for social reform, and coming to work hungover. The Saloon League were the ones responsible for closing the bars down on Sundays. A lot of people think that this was a religious movement. It wasn't. It was racial. Immigrants' only day off was Sunday. So if we close the saloon, they've got nowhere to go. They've got no place to meet, no place to hang out. So it was kind of a great union. We've got the Women's Christian Temperance Union, who have only been able to vote for a year at this point. They've just earned the right to vote. But they're backed by the Saloon League, who has a different political platform, but can kind of push it or put it under the guise of, well, it's good, it's for the family. The husbands are mistreating the women. The workers aren't going to work. But their real agenda was, this was the first real kind of racial class war we were having in America. And a lot of people didn't know because we were presenting it in a much different light. So they got the vote. Prohibition was passed in 1920 and lasted for 13 years. And in those 13 years, the American cocktail pretty much disappeared. The only people that were going into speakeasies were, the questionables or the extremely wealthy that still had access to booze. But any respected bartender got out of the trade or got out of the country. They moved to Paris, they moved to London, where it wasn't illegal, it wasn't seen as, a degradation to man, degradation. So the cocktail went away and kind of got lost for about 70 years. We repealed Prohibition in 1933, but at that point, it was still, no one took the job as the bartender as a profession. You didn't have these bartenders that had pride in their job, who enjoyed being creative, who traveled, who tried other bartenders' drinks in other places and wrote them down and started creating recipes. That was gone. And we just had years of what people assumed bartending was, where we just throw things into a glass, we might throw some bottles around. That's what people thought I did for a long time. And I've never done that. I tried flipping a bottle once, and I still have the scar on my pinky. It's pointless. Unfortunately, the cocktail kind of fell out of fashion. And we had, after World War II, a time where it was just like, get it packaged, give it a long shelf life, put it in a can, add sugar, whatever, just fresh juices and all our fresh herbs that we would use in cocktails and were doing at the time went to the wayside. So sweet drinks took favor over balance, and the bartender was kind of looked at someone over the next few 70 years as just like, this is just something you do while you're in college. And it's now present day. I've always wanted to do this. I always knew that this was my path, and having to tell people when I was 30 years old that no, I'm not just doing this while I go to school. This is what I do. People are finally starting to understand that and see that this is a trade and a skill, and it's not just something everybody can do. And hopefully, we're getting to a point today that it's going to be taken more seriously. Maybe we'll get health insurance. Maybe we'll get paid more than minimum wage. Maybe health care would be, a part of that figure. But where we've come today and in the last 10 years is kind of a great new, not phenomenon, but a resurgence of what was once a great passion of this country, and the love of the cocktail. The foodie and the cocktail go hand in hand. You don't have a mixologist if you're not in a town that isn't into food. So the neighborhood bar is back. And just as it once was, you couldn't walk into, you can walk into any neighborhood bar. Any walk of life should be able to walk into a neighborhood bar. Check your degree at the door. We don't care if you're a lawyer or a university teacher or a taxi driver or a dishwasher. You can all sit down at the bar and talk politics, and no one gets to take rank on that. And that's what it should be. And we're there again. At least we are at this place that I like a lot, the Hotsy Totsy. I love walking in there some nights of the week and just seeing, like this room, like what a diverse crowd of people, old and young, and it's a lot of fun. And hopefully, we're on our way back. Actually, would you pour out the vermouth for the next part? So, yay, I think. It took a long time to get here, but we got here. Doesn't matter. Just do them both as quickly as you can, I guess. So we're just going to talk about sweet vermouth and vermouth in general for a quick second. Go Italian. So, general rule, if you're buying sweet vermouth, go Italian. If you're buying dry vermouth, go French. There's lots of different vermouths out there on the market. Wrong one. There we go. And each vermouth is going to add, a different element to your cocktail. If you're making a Manhattan, say you have your favorite whiskey, you already know that you love Buffalo Trace. but you want to kind of experiment with Manhattans. A great way, and an affordable way to try new Manhattans is just to try different vermouths. So what I have Rich kind of passing out for everybody here today is 2 different vermouths. How many people here have a bottle of vermouth at home? Dry or sweet? No? A couple people over here? How many of you have had that bottle for over a month? Throw it away. Oh, unless, are you keeping it in your refrigerator? Anybody? No. It's gross, I promise you. And if you don't believe me, Rich here actually had a bottle of vermouth in his refrigerator. So he's pouring a tainted vermouth. Don't sip it yet. Give it a minute before you drink it, because I want you to be able to do a side-by-side with the vermouth. What's that? Both sweet and dry. What's that? No. So this is a bottle of vermouth that Rich had in his cabinet for he doesn't even know how long. He just said a very, very long time. And so I had him bring it into me, and I tried it, and I was like, yep, this is gross. Let's bring it down to the mixology class. So that is, I mean, vermouth is a fortified wine. Would you keep a bottle of red wine in your cabinet for 6 months and then pull it out when some guests come over for dinner? Probably not. Well, the same thing is, can be said for vermouth. When I say that it's been fortified means that it's been added with some neutral grain spirit. It's typically a brandy. So that does give it a little bit more of a shelf life than a standard red wine. But it does still go bad. So if you refrigerate it, you can keep it for a month in your refrigerator, absolutely. That's it. That's why they sell like a lot of small bottles these days. Because unless people didn't know this, or people didn't talk about this like 5 years ago. No, absolutely, it's a very common mistake. And it's, a large part of the reason why people started drinking very, very dry martinis in America is because you go into a bar and the dry vermouth has been on the back shelf for who knows how long. If your bartender has to look for the vermouth, go order something else. If he doesn't know where the vermouth is, it's best not to drink a martini or a Manhattan in that place. So that's, I think, what happened in America in the 80s and 90s, people ordering these very, very dry martinis is because the vermouth was bad and it tasted bad. But when you've got a nice vermouth mixed in with a gin, it actually makes that martini so smooth and so drinkable. So everybody go ahead and do your little side-by-side. Hopefully Rich pointed out the good and the bad. It should be pretty easy to tell the difference. So, vermouth is a fortified wine. That means it's, in this case, a grape spirit, so something like a red wine or a white wine, that has been fortified with some kind of neutral grain spirit, typically brandy, so another grape spirit, but it could just be right. They created vermouth back in the day to give it a longer shelf life, so that their wines, when they were producing wines, they could make them last longer. Wines were going bad, and they were trying to ship them across the country, and they would turn funky. And so they started adding spirits and then also herbs and spices and flowers and other things that taste good. Right, and that's also another vermouth. So everybody's got 2 vermouths. One just turned, and one I just opened this afternoon.
Is that from the same bottle, though?
It's not the same brand. It's not the same brand. I brought a different brand, but it's not going to make that much of a difference. I mean, you're going to be able to taste or smell the funkiness. I wanted to bring you guys in a nice vermouth anyway, because most people don't know what a nice vermouth tastes like. So everybody's drinking Antica formula. Yes?
Is an IPA the same where they fortified it so that they could ship it to India?
IPA? Yeah, in a lot of ways, yes. They were the same kind of technology, I guess, of the time. It's like that's how that kind of came about. It's like the beer was going bad.
So how would you make the flag?
A beer?
Yeah.
I'm not a beer person. Okay, sorry. Maybe that should be the next class here. Fortified beers. I'm just going to grab this bottle. So what everybody's drinking, the good vermouth is, I just want to show you this bottle if you ever want to go get one. It's Antica formula. It's a nice Italian sweet vermouth. But this is what the bottle looks like. This is the label. They do make them, this is a 1 liter. I think they make them in 750s and 375s if you want one for your home bar that's not going to go bad. This is a nice vermouth that you can actually just drink on the rocks as well. It's really nice.
Can you talk a little bit about, how can you tell when you go into a store, how would you discern between a good quality, like how much should you be spending?
Okay, the question is how much should you be spending on a good or decent vermouth? Martini and Rossi is kind of like, I think this is $7 a bottle. It's totally a decent sweet vermouth. In fact, that's what's in your Manhattans tonight. That's what we used. It's one of those things, it's just like, I think your gut kind of tells you, like, this packaging looks kind of wonky. $3 and all this dust on it? Probably, maybe not the best vermouth. But that being said, it just because something costs $26 doesn't mean it's the best. That's what's nice about vermouths is that they are typically affordable, and it's not going to put you too out of pocket to experiment and try. These are all great brands up here, in fact. And I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of those we carry at the Hotsy Totsy. And so if anyone wants to come in sometime and just try a couple of vermouths side by side, I'd be more than happy, and my bartenders would be more than happy to, talk to you about them. So same to be said about dry vermouths. Shelf life is the same. They need to be refrigerated. Like I said earlier, it's probably the reason people started drinking dry martinis is because they tasted so poorly.
Refrigerated after opening or before?
After opening, yeah.
Once you break the seal?
Once you break the seal, you get about 30 to 60 days-ish, You just want to taste it. But it's just something to be aware of, is that it goes bad. It's wine-based. Don't forget that. Wine goes bad. So, yeah. If you don't break the seal, almost indefinitely. I mean, yeah, it could still go bad, like a wine. It could cork, but yeah, if you don't open it, it should be fine. It's the air that gets in there that makes it go bad. No, whiskeys and rums, the question was, whiskeys, rums do not go bad. They are neutral grain spirit. So just like your whiskey's not getting any older the longer you keep it, if your 25-year-old bottle of Jameson's been on your shelf for 10 years, it's not 35-year-old Jameson. The glass does not do, this is a common misconception people have. Once it's out of the barrel, it stopped aging, the process stopped. So it's in glass, it's not getting any older, it's not gaining any more value. And certainly not impressing your guests that I've had this bottle of Jameson for 15 years. Does anybody else have any other questions? Yes?
So talking about the expiration dates, I see this, so I was in Jupiter last night, and a friend of mine had this beer, and so I was looking at the expiration dates, and it says 2032. So is this like a typo, or is this...
What is that a bottle of?
So this is a sort of cherry-based Belgium ale?
Well, maybe, so if it's an ale and it hasn't been opened, then I suppose it could last that many years. 20 years. If it was kept in like a cool, dark, cool, dry place, a beer, it could last 20 years. It's when you start bringing things in and out of like hot and cold temperatures, if they're getting rattled about, a beer in particular will get funky or skunky. You know, if you put it in your trunk, drove across America, put it in your wine cellar, it might go bad. Yeah, but again, I haven't heard that. I know most beer brands wouldn't recommend that. I'm not a beer expert, so I don't know if entirely, but if it is a kind of a fruit-based, I don't know if there's some kind of spirit in that cherry bock. It sounds like there might be. I don't know. That's a good one.
I had a quick question.
Yes.
In your drinks that have sugar,
Mm-hmm.
is there a preferred type of sugar that you use for drinks as opposed to, I mean, can regular sugar is fine? Okay.
Mm-hmm. So the question is, what kind of sugars do I use in my drinks? Right, so I typically use baker's sugar behind my bar, which is a fine sugar. You can also just make a simple syrup, which is equal parts sugar to water, and then you don't have to worry about it. I like using baker's sugar in my cocktails just because it does add a little bit of, I don't know, grit in a way, a little bit of viscosity. Plus, I know exactly how much sugar is going into the drink, and I'm not, this is totally nerdy, adding that much more water because simple syrup's part water. So I have that much more control over the cocktail. But yeah, baker's sugar works best because it breaks down quicker when you're shaking, and also if you're like muddling in like a old-fashioned or
Yeah.
something like that.
Just making an old-fashioned over there, and
Yeah.
the sugar kind of, you can sit there and work it, but
Mm-hmm.
it's still there. Kind of.
Right. Actually, when I make my old-fashions, I use like the sugar in the raw. Because again, for me, I like that kind of grittiness so that the whole drink doesn't get sweet, but you kind of get little bits of it from time to time. So that is kind of a preferential thing. I have bartenders at my bar that use gum syrup, like not simple syrup, but made from gum arabic. So it's a little thicker, it's a little bit more viscous.
It's syrupy then, right?
It is syrupy, yeah. Yeah. Anybody else have a question? Sugar. Very simple. Yeah. It's typically sugar and the kinds of herbs and botanicals that you use. But yeah, sweet vermouth has sugar added to it. Dry vermouth does not. Okay. Pop quiz. You've been paying attention. I hope so. So my friends over at Northbury Bottle Shop are offered up some prizes tonight. So I got 5 questions for you. 6. Let's make it 6. Okay. By a show of hands, please, so that I can do the best I can at being fair. Who can tell me what the most important ingredient in any cocktail is? Right here, I saw you first. Very good. You get that bottle of Angostura bitters that's closest to you. There you go. There you go. Okay. Bitters does not go bad. It's pretty much pure alcohol. If you look at the proof on the bottle of bitters, it is, off the charts. It's straight booze. So it will not go bad. Okay. Where did the cocktail originate? Right here? America. Very good. You get this bottle of bitters. America. All right.
Cheers.
Cheers. All right. Martini, shake or stir? Here? Very good. Give that guy a bottle of bitters somewhere. Is there one over here? It's true. Yeah, we can thank James Bond for the shaken martini. Not an American, by the way, clearly. Sorry, Michelle. My English friend. Margarita, shake or stir? Very good. Give that lady a bottle of bitters. How many was that? That's for you. That was 4? All right, so there should be one more bottle of bitters out there somewhere. Okay, all right, so I got one more question for you. Easy one. Where's the oldest Albany bar? Sorry, what's the oldest bar in Albany? Let's choose that guy. Him. Very good, all right. Good job. I got one more, a very nice bottle of vermouth. This is, I took the price tag off. Yeah, sorry. Again, The guys at North Bray Bottle Shop, I don't know if you've been in there, they just opened up, were very generous and gave me this product to give to you guys. And they also, we'll give you one before you leave tonight, gave me a business card. On the back of each of the business card is 5% off your next total purchase, which is very nice of them. They help you guys get your little home bar started. So the question is, and you should know this, what is vermouth? Pressure on you, but yeah. Fortified wine. Very good. Good job. So that was all I had for you guys tonight, unless you had some questions for me. I think I answered most, but I have these little handouts. I guess, Rich, you want to give everybody one before they go? This is has the recipes that we made tonight, the 5% off, and I don't know, just other things that might be important. But good reading, stuff like that.
I'm also going to pass out a quick little description of our next great event with Jessica here. It's going to be in the same setting in November for your holiday drinks and holiday party fun.
November? I thought it was December.
I'm sorry,
It's
December.
December, yeah, no problem. So again, this was my first time doing this, and this kind of, no, I wasn't looking for applause. But okay, I mean, if you're going to applaud. No, no, thank you. No, my point is, if you have constructive criticism, I can handle it. If you just want to be mean, then please don't email me. Yelp at the community center for any nasty things you want to say. But yeah, feel free to let me know what you thought would have been more informative, would have helped you understand the class more. If there were drinks that you thought I should have brought up. But again, just keep in mind, I'll be right with you, that this is Albany. I thought the right thing to do is go by the law, 1 drink per hour, so you can still drive out of here and not get pulled over with a DUI tonight. So that's why we only did 2 cocktails tonight.
That's why the police are parked outside?
Yeah, did they? Yeah. I told them not to inform the Albany police. And just for some of you, if you're interested, this is a silly little poster I had mounted because I love nerding out, and it's just absolutely ridiculous. But every cocktail you can think of, classic-wise, if you want to follow these little lines around and create a cocktail, or if there's a certain cocktail you want to know about, just come up, take a picture, memorize it, and you'll have all your drinks down in no time.
What is the Hotsy Totsy specialize in?
The Hotsy Totsy specializes in cocktails and neighborhood bar atmosphere. So friendly, warm, inviting atmosphere with skilled bartenders, also mixologists that can answer your questions, turn you on to something new, maybe teach you that, in fact, you do like gin, even though for 30 years you thought you hated it. That is what we specialize in. It is my personal goal to get everybody to drink gin. I wear a necklace that says gin. It's my first love. My favorite, usually it is a gin-based cocktail, so the question was, what's my favorite cocktail? It just depends on the day, the temperature, and what I'm doing. My go-to typically is a Negroni, which is equal parts gin, Campari, sweet vermouth, stirred to perfection, and then I drink it over ice, but you can drink it up as well. Campari is a bitter liqueur. It's in the digestif family. It's something that was at a time considered a after-dinner drink, kind of like a Fernet. It's bright red. You've probably seen the bottle. An Italian digestif. People drink bitters and soda, Campari and soda a lot.
Can you go a little more into what bitters actually are?
Sure. So bitters, the question is, what are bitters? Bitters are, they were considered medicinal at the time, even though and most things that were considered medicinal pre-prohibition were very highly alcoholic, bitters being one of them. It actually is a great digestif if you drink bitters and soda. You just need a few dashes. It is something that, I don't know how it works. It's the magic of all the herbs, and it's always a very secret recipe that they use. But it's usually high alcohol with macerated herbs, roots, spices, flowers, and it just comes out tasting bitter. There's all different kinds of bitters on the market now. So you can find, you know, orange bitters, it's been around for a long time, but there's like coriander bitters, habanero bitters, chocolate bitters. It's actually an essential tool to any bartender. Just as like a home chef wouldn't cook without salt, I wouldn't make a drink without bitters nearby. It's one of the great tools if you're experimenting and you're wondering, like, what does this need? Try a dash of bitters. A lot of times bitters is that thing that kind of binds all the ingredients together and brings it to life. Does that answer your question somewhat? Yeah, okay. I have. I actually, well, this isn't that funny probably to you guys, but it was to me. Because everybody got into this, like, oh, I make my own bitters, and I'm so cool, and I can grow a mustache, and I can't. I made a Red Bull bitters. Because Red Bull is like, you know, like any cool bartender is like, oh, people that drink vodka Red Bull are jackasses and losers. So I got some Thai Red Bull, which isn't carbonated. It's just basically a syrup. And I put a bunch of herbs and botanicals and crap and some high-proof vodka in there. And I still have it behind the bar. So if you ever want to try it, my Red Bull bitters are behind the bar at the Hotsy Totsy. Bitters, it takes a couple of months and a lot of shaking on your part. Like, just like, you have to take care of it every day. Like, leave it in a place. You just want, if you do like a mason jar size, like standard 12-ounce mason jar size, you can get really creative with what you put in there. I mean, essentially, you're just making something bitter. So even if you mess up, it's just going to taste bitter, you know? But you can, you know, add, you know, different things, like there's the dried elderflower, dry orange peel, you know, all this kind of stuff that you can mess around with. You can start with smaller mason jars. But it's just one of those things, you got to kind of shake it twice a day. Don't forget, shake it every day. And walk out the door when you come home from work, shake it again, and then go about your day. It just, you can't forget about it, is the thing. But, you know, it's something you would probably taste it after 30 days. If it still tasted really, really boozy, let it go for another 30 days. Kind of depends on what kind of herbs you're using, how dry they are, if you have, you know, stuff like that. How did the Totsy start? Well, 1939, yeah, I don't know exactly how it started. It wasn't always the Hotsy Totsy. I think the earliest we've seen Hotsy Totsy in print was like 1940 or 1940, I'm sorry, not 1940, 1949 or 1950. Does that sound about right? That's my partner. That's the first thing I've seen Hotsy Totsy in print was like 1950. So it was part of the Lincoln Highway strip that was all kind of burlesque joints and bars and taverns. It was kind of a big strip of San Pablo. This part in Albany, it was all bars and taverns. And Hotsy Totsy was just one of them. Which one? L&M. Oh yeah, L&M, the Bear, and then Kelly's, and yeah, that was one of them. Yeah. Yeah, it was. Okay, anything else? So that's my email address if you want to contact me. Otherwise, my business card's up here as well. There's business cards for the bottle shop and some matches, and other than that, that's it. I'd like to thank like Liam and everybody at the center that's been super helpful, Robin and Casey and Shelly. Thank you for all your support. And my assistant Rich over here, who did a great job tonight. Thank you, everybody.
And I was just going to mention, we have a brand new activity guide coming hot off the presses in the next couple weeks here. If they get mailed to you, they'll be on your doorstep very soon. If not, they're always here at the community center. There's always an